Live from Nigeria, this is True Vision TV. The headlines: Contract scam of 197.72 billion uncovered by Auditor General's office. Minimum wage payments. NLC says no going back to December 1st deadline. Gender-based violence. Nigerian police chief joins 16 days of activism, calls for an end to practice. Hello, I am Stella Carlo, standing in for Marvelous Obonman, your regular presenter, and welcome to News Roundup. Let's begin this bulletin hour from Nigeria's capital, Abuja, from the Auditor General of the Federation has said, I beg your pardon, where the Auditor General of the Federation has said it discovered irregular payments of taxpayers' money for shoddy contracts of about 197.72 billion naira in some federal government ministries, departments, and agencies. The Auditor General disclosed details of its findings in the Auditor General's annual report on non-compliance and internal control weaknesses covering activities between 2020 and 2021. The report reviewed the affected MDAs include the Corporate Affairs Commission, Rural Electrification Agency, Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading plc, a subsidiary of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company plc, and other MDAs in the country. On labour matters, the Nigerian Labour Congress has reaffirmed its stance on December 1st being the deadline for state government to implement the new minimum wage, with potential strikes looming in non-compliant states. This development follows President Bola Tinubu's signing of the minimum wage bill into law on July 29, 2024, which increased the country's minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. The union had earlier set a November 30 deadline for full compliance, but insists that no state should delay implementation beyond the extended timeline. NLC spokesman Benson Upa highlighted the union resolve, stating that nothing has changed regarding the directive of indefinite strike should states fail to pay. Nigeria's Inspector General of Police on Monday joined the global community in commemorating the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, making the start of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Gender-based violence remains one of the most widespread human rights violations, with nearly 1 in 3 women worldwide experiencing physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. In Nigeria, harmful practices like child marriage and female genital mutilation are still prevalent, often justified by cultural or religious norms.
Gender-based violence is a grim reality that has continued to devastate lives across the globe. Across the continent of Africa, countless of women and children have continued to suffer all kinds of abuses, including domestic violence, sexual assaults. There are some areas where the tradition also abuses the rights of women. We have cases of gender mutilation, genital mutilation, yes, and others like that. The Nigerian Police Force has developed what we call gender-based gender policy, which integrates global framework into our policing practices, and we have remained committed to that policy till today. I want to assure you that we'll look at your petition and we will treat every point in the petition as expected. So I thank you very much for coming.
Let's talk about environmental issues. The United Nations Climate Summit has come to an end after 14 days of negotiation, hard talks, and commitments with developing countries unfulfilled at the turnout of the climate finance negotiation, which was put as $300 billion. Climate experts say the poetry sum proposed is far from what is needed to create adaptation and resilience, hinting a plan to depopulate developing countries. After 2 weeks of serious talks and high expectations, industrialized nations peg $300 billion a year for developing countries to fight climate change by 2035. Developing nations at the COP29 summit in Azerbaijan rejected the proposal offered for climate finance.
I now resume the 11th meeting of the CMA. I invite parties to turn to agenda sub-items 11A, new collective quantified goal on climate finance. I hereby invite the CMA to adopt the draft decision contained in document CMA/2024 L.22.
And the European Union and its member states will continue to play a leading role. And we have worked hard with all of you to ensure that there is significantly more money on the table. We're tripling the 100 billion goal, and we feel it is ambitious, it is needed, it is realistic, and it is achievable.
This announcement was nowhere near the annual $1.3 trillion that low-income countries who are mostly affected by climate change demanded from the biggest polluters. As nerves frayed and clock ticked, the negotiation room became rowdy as African nations and small island states voiced their displeasure, saying it was unacceptable.
This document is nothing more than an optical illusion. This, in our opinion, will not address the enormity of the challenge we all face. Therefore, India opposes the adoption of this document.
While some nations angrily staged a walkout, some civil society organizations held a protest just outside the meeting room. According to them, the deal was unfair and not duly consulted.
Please, can you comment, sir? Sorry.
We've just walked out. We came here to this COP for a fair deal. We feel that we haven't been heard and there's a deal to be made and we have not been consulted.
It is more than a joke. It is deeply insulting. It is unacceptable. And we'd rather fight for another year than accept a really bad deal.
We have a situation where communities are being dispossessed, they're being displaced. You have a situation where communities' consents are not sought in the drive for minerals such as lithium, cobalt, copper, and the rest that are needed to produce batteries, phones, or whatever is needed for the energy transition. So we see a situation where the same mode of exploitation is being established in order to have this shift in energy form, which makes it very difficult and very complicated. Because if you want to, the shift, the transition we need must not just be in terms of what comes out at the end, but how that end is achieved. Not disposing community. Look at what's happening in places like Democratic Republic of Congo. Millions of community people are displaced because of from areas where lithium is being extracted, cobalt is being extracted, and creating a lot of problems. In Latin America, we're having problems where communities already have water stress, are having their water taken for processing of lithium. So they don't have water for agriculture or for whatever usage. And this is a continuation of the expansion of sacrifice zones, a new cycle of super commodities, colonial extraction, and using forces of cohesion and violence. So the situation is the same. And this is what needs to, we need the renewable energy, but how is the resource for this extracted? That is the problem, and we don't want Greek colonialism.
While many developing countries participated in the climate conference with high optimism that climate change would get the needed funding and attention it required, the latest offer remains a hope raised and a hope dashed away. Stakeholders have urged Nigerian graduates to pay less attention on white-collar jobs and become employers of labor by acquiring a skill that can stand them out in the society. The stakeholders who came together in Kaduna State at the instance of Hope Builders International agreed that many Nigerian graduates face employability challenge because they lack practical skills and experience. According to statistics, there are about 25 million unemployed Nigerian graduates. Despite the already saturated job market, Nigerian universities and polytechnics continue to produce a large number of graduates each year. As of 2019, there are 134 recognized polytechnics and 174 universities in Nigeria, which admits about 2 million students and release approximately 600,000 graduates annually. In 2014, the stark reality of the Nigerian job market was highlighted when around 520,000 unemployed graduates applied for only 4,000 advertised positions in the Nigerian Immigration Service. This equated to about 130 applicants per position. Tragically, on the day of the aptitude tests, a stampede caused by the overwhelming crowd resulted in the death of 16 graduates. Unfortunately, there seems to be little relief from the high unemployment rate in Nigeria, leaving many graduates feeling trapped without a clear path to employment. But why are Nigerian graduates considered unemployable? This is what stakeholders here at the Hope Builders Festival 2024 in Kaduna sought to profile solutions on. The theme "Employability Skills Everywhere" is an indication that there is a widening gap between industry employers and graduates in terms of having requisite skills that the industry requires.
We need to give attention to the many graduates that are out there in the streets that are struggling to get a job to do or get themselves fixed up somewhere and they are not getting anywhere. We are also concerned about employers that are looking for expert employees, but they are not getting. So it is two-way struggle. The employers are stranded, and then the graduates also looking for jobs are stranded. Our effort is to build a platform where those people will meet, and we also build a platform where we train on the skills to ensure that graduates with their certificates can get the skills that employers are looking for, because we know what the world is looking for at this moment.
Our youth are the heartbeat of this nation, and your energy, creativity, and resilience have the power to redefine our future. But in today's world, qualifications are just the baseline. To truly thrive, you must think outside the box, innovate, and adapt. That's why platforms like this are critical. They equip you not just to survive, but to learn, but to lead, innovate, and transform your communities.
Unlike the advanced countries where graduates are coming into the labor market already cooked and baked to solve societal issues, Nigerian graduates have been urged to look beyond certificates and leverage on opportunities that are available in the global market.
As they are leaving school, they are not just thinking about getting jobs. As they are leaving school, they are employing people. And like I said, let it get to the point where government will be begging people to come and take jobs. We have a large population. Nigerians are not lazy. If you travel abroad to other countries, you see that we are not laid back. We are too strong, we are enterprising, we are smart. The system has pushed us backward, but I think we can actually rise. So for every young man is to look inward and tell yourself the truth that there are opportunities around you.
Through events like Hope Builders Festival, we equip young people with essential soft and practical skills, enhancing their career prospects and preparing them for success with the skills required to thrive in a rapidly evolving global landscape as we empower young Africans to build a brighter future.
It is often stated that Nigerian youths are not lazy, and with a youthful population of about 160 million comes an engine room for national development. But this can only happen if the government and the private sector will provide the needed vocational training, access to capital markets, and startup incentives that will attract graduates into entrepreneurship and depend less on white-collar jobs. That's the size of the bulletin this evening. Before we call it a wrap, a look at the major headlines. We told you that the Auditor General has uncovered contract sum of 197.72 billion naira. We also told you that Nigerian Labour Congress said it would not go back to December 1st minimum wage payment deadline. Finally, we told you that Nigeria's Inspector General of Police joined the 16 days of activism called for an end to gender-based violence. You can connect to us via our social media platform displayed on the screen. Thanks for investing your time with us. From the production team here in Abuja, we say goodbye. I am Stella Kalu.